The sky above Hiroshima was silent. A strange stillness gripped the city. It was just after 8 a.m. on August 6, 1945, and life moved with its usual rhythm. Children heading to school, street vendors setting up their carts, and workers settling into their daily routines. But far above them, at an altitude of 31,000 feet, something sinister approached, unseen, unheard, and with it came death. The plane glinted in the sun, massive and threatening. The B-29 Superfortress, named Enola Gay, cut through the air with cold precision. This was no ordinary bomber, a flying beast built to deliver something far deadlier than any weapon the world had known. Inside its belly sat Little Boy, a bomb that didn't just explode, it would tear apart the very fabric of reality. The weapon was primed, ticking like the slow heartbeat of death. Its uranium core, unstable and volatile, was ready to unleash a fire hotter than the sun. As Enola Gay glided closer to its target, the men aboard knew there was no turning back. Below them lay 350,000 souls going about their morning routines, laughing, talking, dreaming, completely unaware that in the next few moments, life would not just end, it would be erased, as the monster had arrived. The B-29 wasn't just another bomber. It was a flying weapon born out of necessity and ruthless ambition, designed to push the limits of what humanity could build and destroy. As World War II raged on, the United States needed more than firepower. It needed something that could reach distant cities, deep within enemy territory, and leave nothing but ash in its wake. What they were creating wasn't just an aircraft. It was a disaster waiting to happen, a mechanical monster engineered for devastation on an unimaginable scale. In 1943, after endless nights of work, Boeing's engineers finally brought the beast to life. With 4 thunderous engines, a pressurized cabin, and remote-controlled machine guns, the B-29 was like a creature from a fever dream, too advanced, too deadly. It could soar higher than enemy fighters could reach, cruise faster than defenses could react, and travel farther than any plane that came before it. But none of these marvels masked the ugly truth. Every nut, bolt, and wire in its colossal frame served one grim purpose: obliteration. The men who built it knew what they were creating, yet they pressed forward. In their drive to end the war, they crossed a line, proof that humans, when pushed to the edge, would build a machine capable of reducing entire cities to shadows. The B-29 was not just a technological marvel. It was a symbol of how far humanity could fall-proof that the most brilliant minds could also create the deadliest nightmares. But wait long before Hiroshima, the B-29 had already shown the world what it was capable of. In the spring of 1945, it brought destruction to Tokyo in a way that no one could have imagined. On the nights of March 9th and 10th, over 300 B-29s flew low over the city, not carrying atomic bombs, but something just as terrifying: napalm. These weren't ordinary explosives. Napalm bombs were designed to spread fire, sticking to everything they touched: buildings, trees, and even people. The sky above Tokyo glowed red as the city was swallowed by flames. In just a few hours, more than 16 square miles of homes, shops, and lives were erased. Entire neighborhoods disappeared under a blanket of fire. The heat was so extreme that rivers boiled, and people who ran into them, hoping to escape, were cooked alive. Streets turned into scenes of pure horror. Bodies burned black, some melted into the asphalt, leaving only shadows where lives once existed. Survivors called it a hell on earth. But Tokyo was only the beginning. The B-29s hit Nagoya, Osaka, and dozens of other cities. Each mission sent a clear message. The B-29 wasn't just a bomber. It was a tool of complete destruction. In the race to end the war, humanity had built something that destroyed not just buildings, but the very idea of mercy. But this was just the beginning, as everything the B-29 had done before was devastating, but nothing could prepare the world or even the crew aboard for what was about to happen next. On August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay took off from Tinian Island. This wasn't just another mission. Tucked inside the bomber's metallic belly was Little Boy, the world's first atomic bomb to be used in war. Some of the men on board treated it like any other mission. To them, it was just another bomb drop. They didn't yet understand what they were carrying or the irreversible horror it would be. The flight was calm, too calm. There were no enemy planes in sight, no turbulence, no obstacles. Everything seemed routine, but the silence was misleading. Below them, Hiroshima spread out like a peaceful, sleeping city. People were starting their day, clueless about the nightmare falling from the sky. At exactly 8:15 a.m., the bomb was released. It tumbled through the air, attached to a small parachute designed to slow its descent. For a few seconds, nothing happened. The crew watched as Little Boy drifted toward the earth, waiting. Those moments were the last breath of the old world. And then, a flash. Brighter than anything the human eye could imagine or feel. A light so fierce that it erased shadows, and, in an instant, erased lives. The bomb detonated with a force that defied imagination. Buildings crumbled like sandcastles, people vanished into dust, and the air itself ignited into a wave of fire. The shockwave flattened everything in its path, blowing apart homes, schools, and hospitals in one terrifying instant. Within seconds, 80,000 people were gone, disappeared into ash. Thousands more would suffer in agony, their skin melting from their bones, their lungs scorched by the poisonous air. Hiroshima wasn't just destroyed, it was liquidated from Earth, as if humanity had found a way to make the very concept of life disappear. What had begun as a simple mission was now a disaster that redefined the limits of human cruelty. The Enola Gay carried more than a bomb that day. It carried proof of how far humans would go, building a weapon so powerful that it didn't just end lives, it ended human innocence. The bomb detonated at a height of 1,900 feet above the ground, releasing energy equivalent to 15,000 tons of TNT. Buildings vaporized in an instant. People standing directly beneath the blast were cremated where they stood, their shadows burned into the surface. Those within a kilometer of the epicenter had their flesh peel away from their bones as the shockwave tore through the city. The fireball expanded to a diameter of 200 feet, scorching everything in its path. The heat was so intense that ceramic tiles melted and glass windows liquefied before shattering into a million deadly shards. Fires erupted across the city, creating whirlwinds of flames that consumed survivors as they fled. In just moments, over 80,000 people were dead. The survivors, many of them horribly burned, wandered the ruined streets in fear, their skin hanging from their bodies like rags. Some simply lay down and waited to die. The B-29 circled once above the mushroom cloud. From the cockpit, the crew could see the devastation below, an entire city reduced to rubble and ashes. The pilot, Paul Tibbets, later recalled that the sight was terrible beyond imagination, but at that moment, there was no turning back. History had already been written. After which a new era of warfare began. Just 3 days after Hiroshima, on August 9, 1945, another B-29, Boxcar, unleashed the second atomic bomb over Nagasaki. The devastation was just as horrifying. Buildings crumbled, fires spread, and tens of thousands of lives were lost in seconds. Faced with the terrifying possibility of more bombs, the Japanese Empire surrendered soon after, bringing World War II to an end. But the victory came at a heavy cost. The B-29 had not just ended a war, it had opened the door to a new, frightening era. It became the symbol of humanity's leap into the nuclear age, proving that mankind now possessed the power to wipe entire cities off the map. The bombs it dropped carried more than just destruction. They delivered the terrible realization that humans could destroy themselves. The world would never be the same. In the aftermath, countries scrambled to develop their own nuclear weapons. knowing that whoever controlled the skies and the bombs within them would hold the future in their hands. The B-29 wasn't just a tool of war. It became a reminder that from that moment on, peace would come with a constant, looming threat. The fear that another flash, brighter than the sun, could end everything again. It took a psychological toll on the crew. The men who flew these missions were celebrated as heroes, but behind the medals and parades, many of them carried an unbearable weight. From the cockpits of their B-29s, they witnessed hell below entire cities reduced to rubble, firestorms swallowing everything, and tens of thousands of lives snuffed out in seconds. They didn't just drop bombs, they dropped global destruction. For some crew members, the reality of what they had done was too much to bear. Missions that turned neighborhoods into ashes left them haunted. They knew their actions had wiped out entire families, men, women, and children, most of whom had no connection to the war beyond being born in the wrong place. Guilt followed them like a shadow, creeping into their thoughts and dreams, leaving them restless and broken. Some became hollow and distant, unable to escape the images burned into their minds. Even Paul Tibbets, the pilot of Enola Gay, insisted for years that he had no regrets. He was just following orders. But in later interviews, cracks appeared in his words, hinting at the internal conflict he carried. Their missions didn't just change the world, they changed the men who flew them, leaving behind scars that no victory could ever erase. As it was a legacy, written in ashes. After the war, the B-29 became a symbol of both victory and destruction. The aircraft that had once been celebrated for its power became a harsh truth of capacity for cruelty. Some B-29s were scrapped, their metal bodies melted down and recycled into everyday items, a twisted irony that the very planes that had brought death were now being used to make cars, tools, and household appliances. Yet, the legacy and fear of the B-29 still lingers. Even today, the shadow of the B-29 hangs heavy over us. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki stand as chilling reminders of what people can do when desperation meets powerful technology. The world watches nervously as new nations develop nuclear weapons, aware that the ghost of the B-29 still lurks in the background. What makes the B-29 truly deadly isn't just the bombs it dropped, it's the cruel truth that once humanity discovers how to wield such terrible power, it often chooses to use it, no matter the cost. The desire for control, revenge, or dominance can lead to unimaginable destruction. The horrors unleashed by the B-29 remind us that human beings can create weapons capable of erasing entire cities and lives in the blink of an eye. Even as we look toward the future, the fear remains. If we don't learn from the past, we may find ourselves repeating it. The B-29 isn't just a relic of history, it's a warning. The true danger lies in our willingness to unleash chaos and suffering, a darkness that still lingers, threatening to resurface at any moment. The B-29 Superfortress, now grounded in museum hangars, sits silently under dim lights. Visitors walk by, some in awe, some in horror, but all in reflection. As they look upon its hulking frame, one thought lingers. How close did we come to the end, and how close might we come again? If you found this exploration intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe to Fact Hub for more captivating insights into the mysteries that shape our world. Together, let's continue to uncover the secrets of truth hidden beneath the surface.